If you're watching this, you want to find gold on a river or a stream like the one behind me, and it probably feels overwhelming and like there's a lot to learn about where to dig. And you'd be right, there are a number of places you should be checking to find gold.
And let me just point out, there are a lot of online resources that will teach you the basics.
But I'm going to help narrow it down for you so you can get to the creek and start finding gold sooner rather than later. There is literally no one that is going to be able to point to a spot and pick exactly where the good gold's sitting. But there are some general rules about where you should check. Boulders, rocks and bedrock sticking up above the surface of water are the high points in the creek. High points tend to have less gold than the low points. But people really like the high points because you can visually see all of the stuff that's going on. And you will still find gold in them, just generally not as much as you will in the lower points. Example, this spot looks really cool, and I reckon I'll find a little bit of gold here. But it is a high point. All of this bedrock is sitting higher than all the streams around me. But it's got gravel in it and it's got crevices, so it probably has a little bit of gold. Come on, you big stuck boulder. Oh, yeah. Oh, that grey clay and breaking bedrock is definitely the best stuff. But generally speaking, because gold's heavy, it tends to follow the deeper channels. And so often people get distracted by this really cool, beautiful looking bedrock. Don't discount it, still check it.
Even though it was up high, this spot offered a couple of things I always look for. Clay, which tends to have gold stick to it, and broken bedrock, meaning the area hadn't been touched in a long time.
We're going to see black sand, we're probably going to see some good gold. Yeah, we did get gold. We got beautiful black sand. There is some very pretty gemstones in there too. I've gone through and counted the gold specks, and we have 21 small pieces of gold, which for my area is an okay pan. 21 specks out of the bedrock area on the high ground. Let's go into the deep channel next door. I threw my shovel in here and I don't know where it landed. Yeah, oh, why'd I do that? I literally don't know where my shovel is. Aha! Victory! This section right here is over a meter deeper than where we were just working, and where we were just working is only a couple of feet away. This time we didn't get any grey clay, but we did get broken bedrock. The reason that gold tends to go into the deeper channels is because when the creek's moving gravel and there's floods happening, it's got the highest amount of energy, so it's moving the most amount of soil. It's also the first place that the momentum, the kinetic energy that the river produces, backs off. So you've got most of your gold traveling down there because that's where most of the gravel's traveling, and it's also the first place that the momentum drops off when the floodwaters recede. Whereas the high ground, it has to climb uphill, and the gold being so dense doesn't like doing that. The high ground still gave us good gold that I could work, and I could get a decent take for the day if I committed to that spot, but lower areas almost always tend to have more if the gold's accumulating there. There we go. That looks like more to me. We'll have to count it. I stopped counting when I got to 50 pieces of gold. Some of them are very fine, but we doubled our spec count just by moving over a couple of meters. 21 specks a pan, 50 specks a pan. There's always exceptions to rules, but generally speaking, I find that if you go to the deep water, you're more likely to find better gold. With that in mind, still check these areas, but for me personally, I would be out there looking for where the good gold is really deposited, especially considering there's an inside bend there. Let's see what happens if we go and get some really deep dirt. We're almost waist deep here. Feels very sandy. Oh, but it is not. Oh, wow. That's full of organics. Organics like this could mean anything, but that looks to me like old grass. So I'm guessing at some point somewhere here, possibly out of this area, we've had a huge amount of erosion, and it's washed all the grass and leaves and debris off the bank and the bank itself into the deep section of water. So this is the old riverbank, and erosion's your second key. The river actually splits into three at this point. We've got one channel, two channel, and coming across a third channel. This third channel looks new to me because we've got this very modern erosion just here. I'm betting that's where our grass came from. Erosion is the key to gold. It's the thing that moves all the soil and gravel down the river. It's also the thing that concentrates the gold into big deposits for you. So if you see a lot of erosion on the bank, there's a good chance there's going to be good gold somewhere nearby if that river's carrying gold. And given that we're next to a huge pile of erosion, I think our chances are good. Nowhere near as much black sand. There is nowhere near as much black sand in this from what I saw panning down. And not every deep spot's going to have gold. Oh no, I take it back. There's actually really good black sand in there. Oh, there's a nice flake too. Look at that bit. There's 2 of them. I counted the pieces up and we got 22 bits. Now, 22 pieces of gold might not be any better than what we got in our first pan, but the pieces are bigger. And that's an important thing to note. I'm getting bigger and smaller pieces of gold mixed together right on the surface, meaning that if I can reach the bedrock, there's probably a bigger mixture of big gold and small gold. Whereas over there, it was all a uniform size, meaning the water velocity remained consistent enough to only allow one size of gold to drop out. And that brings me to my very last and probably most important point. If you want to find gold, you're looking for friction. Friction can be created by boulders. Friction can be created by bank edges where the water butts up against it. And friction is created in deep water just like this. Friction happens anywhere water comes in contact with another surface. And that is what makes the gold drop out of suspension and start to settle. The reason you get better gold in the deep water over there and not over here is because the friction in this channel starts to pick up significantly at this point. It's easier for the gold to go that way than it is for it to go that way. Yes, you will get gold on the high ground, as we've seen. You get more in the lower sections of the water because it takes less friction to make the gold fall out of suspension. The higher the friction, generally speaking, the less gold you get. You got to find the Goldilocks zone. And the Goldilocks zone almost always gives you a mixture of particle sizes. Hopefully this will help you decode the creek next time you head out. Consider hitting the subscribe button for more prospecting videos just like this one. And if you want to support the channel, theoldmoldy.com.au is where we sell our merch, not that this is merch, and our pay dirt.